Inflation is something that is obviously a big concern of everybody. And nowadays,
Mhm.
it's really scary to imagine. It's scary now. Imagining how it's going to be in the future is an even scarier thought. So inflation very clearly does play a role in your financial planning strategy for people.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So one of the things I always do, I sit down and I try to drill down into what you spend today. What's it cost to live your life today? I don't care what your gross income is. I don't care what you make before you put money in IRAs, 401ks, but I do care what gets deposited into your bank account and whether or not you're spending all of that or not. And that's the number that we want to drill into. And then when we talk about being 65 till you're 95 or longer, obviously if you're spending on the same things 30 years from now, they're going to cost more. And so we have to measure for that. So that's absolutely part of the equation. Now, some people will say, well, I'll be doing less and spending less when I'm 95. And that's a fair statement. You might also have more health care expenses. You might have moved into a continuous care retirement community. There's a lot of things that you might be doing differently at that point in life as well. But just to say I'm going to be making or I'm going to be spending 100,000 when I'm 65, that could easily be 200,000 when you're 85. And so you need to account for that. And that's part of that process of people saying they're going to run out of, they think they don't have long term. Well, how are you going to keep pace with inflation and grow your income, by double your income by the end of times, just so you're doing the same exact things that you're doing today? That's a very important part of the puzzle.
Right. So you're kind of ticking all the boxes here. That was another thing that was on my mind is with inflation.
I don't even know your questions, but I feel like I'm reading right off your pad there.
You are, man. It's like I sent them to you, but no, listen, it's fascinating, and it is all kind of lumped together. And when people are concerned about retirement, this kind of falls under the category is not only the inflation issues, but the rising costs of healthcare and long-term care. How is that incorporated by you into your client's financial plan for retirement?
Well, just right out of the gate, I said that we want to know what you spend today. And whatever you're spending today probably doesn't include your health insurance premium. If you're self-employed, you have a premium that you're paying probably at the business level, so it's not necessarily part of your equation for your personal spending. If you work for a company that provides subsidized or just pays for your health insurance outright, it's not an expense. So when you think, well, I'm living off of my net paycheck and I'm getting insurance provided by my employer, when you retire, we have to add that back in. And that can be a significant number. And in addition to that, when you're 65 or older, you then would go on Medicare. And so then there's government, insurance. So that becomes your primary insurance at that point in time. Still costs money. You still have a Medicare Part B premium, and those expenses generally are rising faster than the broader inflation rate. So we have to remember to add an insurance cost on top of your living expense cost, because you're probably not paying it now. And B, we need to grow that by a higher rate of inflation, because that's typically been the case. So that's how we bring that into the picture. And a lot of people will choose not to retire until they're 65, just for that very reason, is they don't want to pay those large insurance premiums from 62, let's say, at age 65. They would rather wait until they go on Medicare. And in many cases, looking in the long run, that can make a bigger difference to determining how sustainable your long-term retirement plan is based on what you're withdrawing for healthcare. If you like what you heard on this video and you'd like to have a personal conversation more about your situation, check us out at gootfinancial.com and sign up for a conversation, and we're happy to see how we can help.